We have MSB's Golf GTI project in with us today. He's already gone quite far with this build, so he's already got the 500 brake horsepower, which is a lot to put through the front wheels. He's also got the AP Racing big brake kit fitted, so we've got a lot of power, a lot of stopping power, but we're struggling to get around the corners now. So it's come in with us here at Spencer Secrets to get some upgrades on the car, get it handling much better ahead of his Nürburgring trip, which is going to tomorrow. So we've got to press on with this build and get it ready to rock and get it out the door. We're going to be fitting quite a few different suspension upgrades to MSB's GTI today. We were originally planning to install some KW V3 coilovers, but with the time constraints, we've had those stuck in customs, so we're not going to get those on the car today. Instead, we're going to opt for a racing line lowering spring. So this is going to still give us the drop in the car we're looking for, and it's going to stiffen up the chassis as well. So it's going to be a lot better over the OEM spring, but it's not quite the subtlety we wanted with the coilover kit, but we'll be fitting that at a later date when they finally land with us. We're also going to be fitting our MQB top mounts. So we've made these in-house and we've designed them to increase caster. So it's a fixed increased caster offset, and it's then got adjustable camber. So there's no other top mount on the market that has a fixed offset caster with adjustable camber. So this is the only one, and it's preset to have a fast road setting and a track setting. So you can basically bolt this in position and then fit it to your car, and it presets all that geometry for you. This will also work with an OEM spring, a lowering spring, and a KW coilover kit, such as the V3 kit or a Bilstein B16 kit that's designed to work with an OEM top mount. So it's quite a nice upgrade, and it gives a huge increase in performance for one product. So we're going to be getting those on there alongside a few other bits, such as the uprated RS3 front subframe. So the front subframe of the RS3 is made out of cast aluminium as opposed to steel plate. So it's a lot lighter than the GTI subframe, but all the pickup points are still the same. So that's a really nice upgrade to get the GTI handling better and just take a bit of mass out of the chassis. At the rear, we're going to be fitting the springs there as well. And we're also going to be fitting a Super Pro rear anti-roll bar that's stiffer than standard, and it's also adjustable, so we can increase or decrease the stiffness from the rear, just to help us fine tune how the car handles at the apex and get rid of as much understeer as possible. The biggest benefit to adding camber on a chassis is shown here. So we're often talking about camber and that adding camber is better for cornering performance, but the reason why is easier to show on this little diagram we've just knocked up on the whiteboard. So as standard, the car comes with quite straight camber, which you can see here. So stationary and quite straight, it's just sat down, the tyre is in full contact with the floor in a straight line. As soon as you start to enter a corner and start to load up the tyre as much as possible, it starts to pick up the inside edge and it rolls onto the outer edge here. So you can see it's coming off the contact patch. This means that through the corner, we've got a tiny bit of tyre actually touching the ground, and that means less grip, which causes the front then to push. So in this scenario where we're fitting a front camber plate, it would change that camber setting to this, which is statically in a straight line. The outer edge of the tyre would be picked up in a straight line. So you're running that negative camber statically. As you enter the corner, what happens when you've got it tuned perfectly is the tyre actually goes completely flat through the corner as the car rolls onto the outside tyre and flattens off. So now through the corner, instead of losing a lot of traction, we gain a lot of traction. So that reduces understeer if it's added to the front, as it gives a lot more grip from the tyre through the corner. Then as you come back out the corner, it rolls back off the tyre again onto the inner edge, not as dramatically as this displays it, and then you're back on the throttle and then back into the corner onto the grip. So adding that camber basically gives more grip through the corner because it's putting more tyre in contact during the cornering. So that's how it works. We also add caster into our top mounts, and one of the added benefits of caster is dynamic camber gain. So that has the effect of, as the steering wheel is actually turned, so when you're cornering, it adds negative camber to the outside wheel as well. This means that you can run less static camber in a straight line to have more grip and braking traction in a straight line, but then through the corner, it gives the additional camber required to flatten that contact patch out. So that's where caster comes in quite nicely in terms of getting the balance right between putting the power down, getting the braking traction, but then also getting the grip through the corner. So it's a really nice balance when you mix camber and caster in the right way. Another upgrade we're fitting to the GTI is a Audi RS3 8V front subframe. So this subframe differs from the standard GTI one in the way that it is cast aluminium. So it's a lot lighter than the standard steel subframe. So this takes a lot of mass out of the chassis, and it gives just a really nice OEM Plus upgrade to the GTI, getting it a bit lighter, but still using all the OEM pickup points, and it's still a VW Audi part. So it's a really nice little upgrade to put on at the same time as some other upgrades. So at the back, as well as the springs, which is ultimately going to become a coilover kit, we're also fitting the Super Pro rear anti-roll bar. So this is thicker than standard, and it's also adjustable, so you can choose between stiff and soft settings. This means that we can fine-tune the balance of the car. So the rear roll bar gets rid of a lot of understeer by allowing the rear of the car to rotate better due to the rear stiffness. So when we have the tuning ability at the same time as that, it means that we can fine-tune the car's oversteer and understeer at the apex of a corner. So if we think we've got a little bit too much oversteer, we can soften it off. And if we think we've got a bit too much understeer, we can stiffen it up. And that's a really nice way to fine-tune the chassis using the rear. So we've got the subframe fitted and the rear roll bar. We're now going to get the shocks and the springs built up with our top mounts, get those fitted and get it down and get this car set up ahead of the ring trip tomorrow. So we've got all the components installed on MSB's car now. So we've got it down on the trays, we've got it rigged up. So we've got the string and line kit on here. So this is for setting the toe settings on the car. So we measure from the string once it's all calibrated, and it gives us the front and back measurements on the rim, and the difference in those measurements gives us the overall toe setting. With this being front wheel drive, we can go quite aggressive on the rear with the settings. So on a rear wheel drive, you'd have to toe it in on the toe, and you'd have to be reserved with the rear camber, because you've got to put that power down ultimately and not be too loose at the back. Whereas with a front wheel drive, we can go a bit more aggressive. So we can reduce the toe in and even start to run a bit of toe out when we start going towards track. And that helps the rear rotate a little bit and just removes the understeer out of the chassis. We're also going to set the camber on the car. So on the front, we don't actually need to get the gauge involved. We have just to check it, but with our top mounts fitted, it's actually preset to where we think is a good setting, and that works really well for this chassis. So on our top mounts, we've got the race and we've got the track or track and road, whatever you want to call them. So more aggressive and less aggressive settings on there. And it's currently set to maximum aggression. And it's also got the fixed offset caster on the top mount. So that's all preset. So you can bolt those in, bolt it in position, and you don't need to get the gauge out and adjust that. It's just set to where we know works well. Following the install of those, it does knock the toe out. So you do need to get an alignment done on your toe to correct that, which is what we're doing right now to get our settings installed. Cool, so MSB's come down to pick up the GTI. We've just literally finished it right now, so it's pretty good timing.
She looks good.
And he's going to tell you all about camera and caster now. Go.
Oh. So basically now, what we've done, we've corner balanced the car, yeah, and we've set the camber, the toe. I'm talking different language to me, yeah, but listen, she looks good. Now next step the Nürburgring, and if you want to see how she gets along, follow our channel, MSB, and yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you guys, and MSW's hiding there in the background, being shy, like, you know what I mean, but yeah, I'm excited, and yeah, again, the boys have done a great job on the car, man.
And you're literally going tomorrow as well to the ring,
well,
like
yeah,
lastminute.com.
Free and Friday morning, so we were literally like cutting it very short, getting it here today.
Yep.
And then the nightmare we had this morning.
Yeah.
So I was absolutely thinking to myself today, I thought, oh, what we're going to do, like the tour's over. But no, he's pulled it out of the bag, and we've got it done. And all I can do is just say thank you. And
yeah, of course.
I'm excited to get over there now and enjoy the car.
Man.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.